Hey, thank you for joining us today on PlanetSide 2's Work in Progress. Today we're going to be looking at some stuff I've had sitting on my hard drive for a while on Indar. Um, so today I've got a chance to actually go and revisit that. We're going to be looking at Aladdin Broadcast Hub and pretty much the dead center of Indar. This outpost on live currently has a lot of roads going around it that don't really fit our current lattice, and we'd like to take a look and fix some of that. So without further ado, let's move over to the game camera here. And so what we see here is our current version of Aladdin Broadcast Hub. It's slightly different from the live version currently. So what I have so far is, push that chair out of the way, move this over a little bit since it's getting the monitor. All right, a little bit more. So what we have here is kind of the rough outline for the new Aladdin Broadcast Hub. Some of the stuff that's changed. This mountain doesn't really have a windy road going up it, although I think I might want to get something that kind of goes down here as maybe like a back way to get up there. It's definitely not the quickest route. And I don't want you to be able to interfere with the spawn room too much. But so that's this mountain over here that used to be a bigger part of this area. What I ended up doing is kind of de-emphasize this mountain over here, and then I just re-emphasized or emphasized this mountain as actually a play space. It makes more sense with the current lattice line that goes from Aladdin over here down to the broadcast hub over here, and then down this road to West Highlands checkpoint, which is kind of in a rough state right now after we did some deletes on it last time and cleaned up some of the stuff. This all needs to get redone. This space is going to be, it's going to have kind of the core part, this saved, and I'm going to shift it around a bit and make the rest of this play space something that you can actually, play around on. You rarely see fights that have anything to do with this. It's all dead space, just almost entirely because there's no props there to cover it up. So it's kind of on that area over there. But today we'll be focusing over here on Aladdin Broadcast Hub. Some of the stuff that's been done other than this mountain getting de-emphasized and putting more of the roads over here is this road, instead of coming over here where it kind of makes a little bit more sense where it is right now, actually used to go up like this and over this way around the whole base, looping over here and then back down in here. That all got kind of painted over. I've painted over this side of the road and put some fake erosion lines in there that are relatively new. And I put the spawn room over where the old jump pads were to the lifts over here, or the air pad for the Aladdin Biolab. Vehicle pad got moved over to next to the spawn room, and you'll be able to access that as either the defender or the attacking faction on this side. So that's kind of the major changes that have happened here, aside from the majority of it getting gutted and replaced with what we have. One of the other things to note is that I have taken the original kind of cap point area, and I wanted to keep what was originally there because it had kind of been iconic for this base, even though maybe the base didn't play out as well as we had intended it to. This area over here was actually a pretty fun centerpiece to the base, so I wanted to keep that, and we'll be seeing that stay in kind of this current form. So what's going to get done today pretty much is a bunch of polish on some of this stuff around here, like paths being added in here. We need to prop it up a bit so that there's proper cover, and put bushes and trees and stuff leading down here. I want to foster this fight to be something interesting. This erosion line down here might end up having a road put into it so that we've got this two roadway going up here, and then you're able to have a little bit more interesting things that you can do when fighting up to this outpost, as opposed to just going down this one road that ends up kind of becoming a slugfest. So it's probably going to be a few rocks here and there, and maybe a road that goes down there, and they loop into West Highlands checkpoint. So that's what I'd like to accomplish today. I've got about got about an hour and 45 minutes to see how much of this we can bang out. I've really kind of dig the splitting the roads up like this. It gives you, chances to flank, chances to take cover, as opposed to just being one road. That's kind of my goal, is to make... it works really well around Aladdin. As you can see, we've got a lot of these split roads where you can stay on the road or go through it. That's kind of what I do over here. So, let's get started on that sort of thing. We've got a lot of polish in this area to do. As you can see, I've taken some of the roads. Let me turn shadows off really quick. I've taken some of the roads and painted them under here, and then the majority of it's just not really done yet. This all needs to get filled in. Need to put bushes and rocks and some cover crates and stuff. And I also want to theme this a little bit better so that it actually looks like some sort of communications area. We don't really have much going on here that would lead you to believe there's anything being communicated here. So I'm going to put some antennas down. I've got some solar panels to kind of give that energy feeling to it. They're also good cover for when you're spawning your vehicle right out of the pad. That's kind of it. There's plenty of entrances in this place. You got one here. There's the double stairs there, one there, another one there, and then you've got the two over here. So it's pretty porous in specific locations. This area is porous. There's one over here, so this whole area is porous, and then on this side we've got these two. So there's plenty of locations to, kind of get into the base itself without it being super Swiss cheesy where you can just get in anywhere. So these have about 30-meter stretch that blocks you out. This is another good 40-meter something stretch that blocks you out. So that's kind of some of the thought process of what I've been thinking about when I've been creating this area here. Another thing to note is that the central area of Indar, once this finally goes to live, and I can't tell you when that's going to be. I don't know if it's even going to be this year, honestly, depending on whether or not I have the time to finish it. But I've done some stuff like pulling a lot of the ecos out. Now, typically, one of the things that's kind of cool with our game, this will reduce some of the GPU load on your computer, depending on how many ecos are in an area. Ecos being the type of paints that are used on here. So right here, we can see that there's 5 paints, and I might be able to get away with pulling out some of these. As you can see, this shows the type of paints that are used in that area. I might be able to delete this highland grass that's kind of a highlight. As you can see, it's this kind of clovery looking stuff. If I pull that out, it's going to end up, making this little tile run a little bit better. And when you add that up over a bunch of tiles, it starts to add up. Yellow means there's 3, green means there's 2, blue's 1, red's 5. And this whole area used to be a lot more red before, and now I pulled 2 ecos off of it, so you'll get slightly better performance in this area once this whole patch goes up. So, alright, let's get started. So we've got our measuring sticks in place, which is about 90 meters. I moved the point a little bit. It used to be over here, and I wanted to push it out because it's kind of close to the cap point. There's going to be a fence over here that's going to kind of lengthen the time it takes to get from here to there. And they're going to have a decent vantage point on a few spots, I think, out here. Anybody coming out there or out there can get sniped. So it should be a pretty defensible base. Aladdin Broadcast Hub is kind of hard to defend once it gets, a little bit saturated, just because you're kind of trapped up in the barracks building. And it's easy to surround it with vehicles because there's not really a ton of cover around it. So this is up on a platform, so you're able to kind of fire down on things with impunity up here. As you can see down. Might skinny these walls up a little bit so you're able to kind of get out closer without it taking up too much of your view. And same thing over here. I split these stairs into 2, so you have some cover in the center as well as cover on the sides. I need to fix that. So you're able to take cover here. So you have a few spots where you can expect to be shot at, but basically doubles the amount of power when you're pushing out of here with that much more space to take cover behind. Because that way 4 people can be shooting at you technically instead of 2. So our measuring sticks are over here. This is about 90 meters to each one of these Sunder garages, as well as the barracks building. And I think that's about good where it is right now. Some of these are a little short, and some are a little longer than they need to be. A lot of this you can jump over, you can jump jet over. So The measuring sticks don't mean a whole lot when it comes to the actual line coming out if you want to take light assault into it, but I try to keep it a distance where even jump jetting over, you still got to go a bit. So let's start painting the roads down. So we're going to take Indar Dirt Pack Duck, and I'm going to take my favorite brush, this guy. I'm going to start carving some dirt out of the grass here. Turn the brush on too. Turn this down to 10 strength. Oh, the capture point's going to be in this square building over here, by the way. Just like it was in the old Aladdin broadcast hub, I've got these mining doors here that kind of like provide some overhead cover, and I'm going to surround this in fences. So there's going to be a lot of alleys. It's going to be a tight place. I don't think there's going to be a fence in this alley. I'm probably just going to put some crates down there. But definitely putting a fence on this side, and this is going to be a pretty tight base overall. Shotguns are going to be really good here, but there's going to be some longer lanes like this where your carbines and stuff like that. And especially if you get up in this building over here, this is a strong point to take because you can take cover from the barracks building over there. They can't shoot at you, but you're able to kind of plink at things coming down here and there. So this is a powerful building to kind of like take a foothold in. So continuing to carve these paths out. Start making this there. Just get a brush of 2 meters diameter. This should be big enough for infantry to kind of walk along. This whole area is kind of going to be dirted up. I put some bushes across here for some soft cover. And we got some dirt in this building, it looks like, or at least on the outside edge. I don't need it up this high, so I'm going to pull it down a little bit. Slayer Phil is asking why there is a mine entrance in the open area. These things have always kind of been like a door that can kind of lead under, like in J993 on Haas, and it just kind of leads the idea that there's something deeper, like a complex under here that's not really accessible, but it kind of like leads you to believe that there's something sealed under here. Makes the place feel a little bit more grandiose than it actually is in terms of size. Take a flat brush for this, it's going to take forever. Put select on and cut into it. So we're going to pull the dirt out of that. I'm going to flatten this down so it doesn't have all those jagged little geo bits sticking out there. Move that down. This is definitely going to be a road, so we want this to be flat over here. No reason for that to be there either. There we go. So I'm going to carve this dirt path again. Get rid of the rock. We're going to have it hook up over here by the stairs, the main stairs for this base. Put some grass, nobody walks over there. Carve that path down there, dig through that. And I'm going to take, where is it? Indar Highlands Road. There we go. I'm going to start drawing a path through there. So now that kind of looks lousy without, so we've got a few problems with it before it's a good little path. We need to make sure that it's kind of level. So what we're going to do is take the pull brush and move down through it. So the soldier's feet have packed it down a little bit. Let's move that over. Another thing too is that it looks a little artificial with the way the grass is kind of put around it, so I'm going to start pulling some of this grass off. And putting some of it back in to fill it out. Just have a little bit touch the path. So put that there. So I'm going to have this whole Highlands Road go around the whole thing. Putting this kind of lip around, or this little space around here is good for putting like rocks, crates, bushes, stuff like that you can use to take cover. Kind of looked like it was landscaped a little bit, but it also serves kind of a gameplay purpose as well. So over here we got to start figuring out where these paths are. I don't know, I think I may have already wanted to put a path there before I put the tree down, but I'm going to put the tree over here, so. And I'm going to put the dirt over here. And this is going to loop around to there. Go. Just got some more pathing here. Now we gotta take a look at the actual geo of it. It doesn't look all that good, so what I'm gonna do is start doing this. So this is kind of, adding this little berm here is gonna give some slight cover if there's players over there that they can kind of duck behind for the tree a little bit. Smooth it out a bit. So I'm going to see how that looks, and it definitely looks pounded down a little bit. Carve that a little deeper. And that looks alright. So I got to take the vert color, because you can see this road is painted there, but it's not as bright as this. So I'm going to take the vert color, copy it from there, and just eyedrop it over there. There we go. Let's get some of that green over here so it matches the grass a little better. And paint up this hill. Looks alright. That vert color needs to get done a little bit better. So there's that. Now we've got this path. It sort of goes around there. We gotta keep painting though. Let's look at some more over here. Yep. Smaller brush. So we're using a 1.4 meter brush here. These little paths. We've also got one that goes right into here too, so we might as well get that. Same thing with this mining door over here. Lead a path to it with the idea that we're going to have some crates over here that you can kind of hide behind. It's good for like stalker cloakers or somebody that's watching the point. we'll see the point flash when they're hiding behind there, and then go and see if they can take the guy out that's trying to cap it. We're going to have this little rope path go through here and hook up with these paths. There we go, and now the geo part. So you can see it's kind of like just resting on top of the hill like that. We need to bang it down in the ground a little bit. See, now it's kind of dented in there. And grassing it up. You can see the this guy got out there. Get back in your building. So we've got the point back in its place. I would say moving the server area was worth my time right now, but it's not actually going to do anything, so I'm going to keep it where it is. And I'll fix that up later. So, as you can notice here, we've got this rock that kind of comes down here. And I want to keep this little path behind here because it was already here and it's kind of cool, so why not? But some of the stuff I want to fix is getting this rubble to kind of lead up into it a little bit, as opposed to this like stark, the rocks just stop all of a sudden. So this is kind of good because it's got this texture on it that's got, you know, these very obvious rocks sticking out of it, and then it's kind of got this, you know, layer under that blends in really well with that. So that kind of looks like it piled, you know, the rocks piled up and after falling down from the top. But over here, where it just kind of goes in a rock, it's just like a, that's where we want to cover it up a little bit. Same over there. Psycho picture. This base is out on Broadcast Hub. It's being redone. It's a little bit different from what's currently on live. Flows a lot better with our current lattice lines. I'm going to pull some of the rock texture out of there too, because there's only so far I need the rubble to go out. And it's definitely not that far. So now instantly that looks a lot better. As you can see, it's kind of like piled up rocks. I can even give the illusion that these are piled up a little bit too. But just kind of turning it from concave to convex. So there we go, look at the little rock piles. So there we go, there's that. In pain, let's get this little road back here. Yep. Too far. So you're saying, well, we've got a problem here that the tree is stuck in the rock, so I'm going to pull that guy out. But we've got this path still over here, and I don't necessarily want to get rid of it entirely, but I don't want you to be able to interfere with this too much. So I might put some stuff like some catwalk pieces over here that you can hide behind if you're trying to shoot down this way. And maybe just have the rock path be a lot of these little things over here where you kind of got to go under a rock to get there. So let's get rid of this tree. So right from the start, you can tell that, you know, not having this tree there, it probably needs to have some sort of tree here so that you can't just have an entire squad up here just shooting at the spawn room. So I'll probably have to put some cover down for that, but I don't think it's going to be a ton that's needed. I could do something like this too, where I've got this path over here and I don't really need these guys to go up it too much, but maybe they do. Lot of options. Yeah, so maybe I'll take this down a bit. Let's see how that would loop into that. So we can have the ramp come up here, go through that, hook up into this road over here. We can do that later. I want to pay more attention to the base right now, though. So here's a good place to start. We know the roads are going to come out. So we've got our Highlands Road, brush again. And we're going to send this guy to go out in this little alley over here, and we're going to also go around this way. But do I want a crate there? The answer is yes. To give that little bit of a tilt on it on top of the crate that it's already on to make it look like it's lived in as opposed to a robot placing it. So move this out. This is going to split over here. This is a good place for a smaller tree. Nope. Is that the big one? No, that's the big one. This guy, and since I don't want it to clip through the building much, I'm just going to smush it that way. Maybe a little bit down. And get away with that. So a tree's kind of expensive as opposed to a crate, because it's got all these alpha things on it that it has to sort through and goes, okay, this particular branch is closer than this one, so this one's in front of this one. So trees are a little bit more expensive, but they definitely provide the best air cover for what we have. Available in Indar for players until we get some man-made overhead cover. We should be soon. So I'll be able to create some like storage areas with some just basic like almost corrugated tin roof sort of looking things. That's in the pipe pretty quick. Yeah, the space is Aladdin Broadcast Hub. It's north of Aladdin Biolab on Indar and kind of the center of the map for those just joining. Put this here, some of the other stuff. We've got this tree here, but dirt needs to get piled up a little bit under it, like the roots have dug themselves in. Can put the grass around that later. Going over to this little path over here. This is a tight little, you should be able to fit though. Yeah, you can definitely fit. I don't like though. So it goes in there, and we got this over here. How are we going to handle that? That's going to have road painted all under it, otherwise flora sticks through it as such. Same thing with under there. Gotta make sure that the road's painted under it, otherwise the grass sticks through it. And I refresh the terrain again. It's gone, most of it. So there we go. Continuing along, I'm going to move this path over here. And it's going to come up on there. There we are. Some of the dirt just spilling out onto the platform over there. So there we go. We've already kind of did the little road network for this part of the base, and we've got a little bit more left over here. So here we've got a bad grass growing through there problem. Gradually working on clearing out these grass. Little sprouts sticking through the platform. We're almost done there. Looks like it's most of it. Certainly over here. Yep, here's some. Looks like that can be taken care of by just moving the terrain under it. That doesn't look like it's going anywhere though. Alright, so we're going to keep painting some of this road texture under here. A lot of this stuff isn't really super glamorous work to do, but otherwise you have grass sticking to the platform. So over here, let's see if we can just get rid of this platform entirely, because it kind of looks goofy when it just... There we go. There, nothing's sticking through. So now we can have the little path go out into this. There we are. And let's see where else is going to go. So we've got this dirt over here that we're going to lead it up into. This is going to be our lane. We'll maybe just put a rock over there, but the rest of this is going to be a little bit open. This is going to hook up into this road, and I think we're pretty much done with the majority of these roads now. There's probably a little bit more pathing that we have to put down, but there we go. This base is out on Broadcast Hub on Central Indar. Grass sticking through there. Bad grass problem in the cap room. So I'm just going to make a square between all the little paths. There we go. Cleaned all the dirt out of it. Instakill is asking why Out on Broadcast Hub is getting redone. We're redoing it because it doesn't really fit within our current lattice on Indar. The base had a big road that wrapped around it and didn't really take you anywhere that you needed to go. So it was just kind of this indirect route that you had to take fire from the barracks and people shooting from there the whole time. And it just was using really old design. I think that design was outdated by like 2 years now at this point. So we've got our paths and stuff placed down here. We can probably start doing the it's a good time to start doing the prop pass. So now it's getting all the cover down. We've got stuff like this, which is going to be a long lane. We've got this, which is going to be a long lane. But those are the two longest ones I'm thinking of here. This one will probably be a little... Did I show that one already? Yeah, so we've kind of got this U shape of long lanes going around this that are probably going to be the longest ones. The rest of them are going to kind of be pretty tight. So we still have some pathing to do over here too. This is under the arch, so I'm just going to put, like, tap some light grass onto here, this area. And subtract a little bit of it. And paint the obvious path. Rock there. Yeah, this is Out on Broadcast Hub that's getting redone. There you go. So let's do the proper vert coloring for these roads. A lot of the vert coloring is left over from what was here before, which might have been like rocks or something like that, which is why you see all these reds and stuff into the dirt. I don't remember what it was over here. I may have pulled some rock out of that, but we gotta make sure that we have the road painted properly. Cams is asking if there's going to be any new roads or connections. The new roads are there's definitely new roads that go down to West Highlands checkpoint, but we don't have any new connections being created for this base. It should still be connect to Out in Broadcast Hub will connect to West Highlands checkpoint as well as Altum, and that's kind of where it's going to stay at. You don't need to open up any more connections for this base. It always had that road that went down to TI Alloys and the eastern botany wing, but none of those were actual connections, so I just pulled the road. Get some splotchy grass under this tree. Kind of lighting these Kind of have some of the grass under the fence post, but the majority of it's not there. So there we go. So starting some of the prop pass stuff here. I'm going to take rock. So having this stuff immediately when you leave this under garage is kind of important because you want to have something that you can fight out of. Kind of like the example I gave over here where we have this column that you can kind of peek out of as well as the other two columns that go up the stairs here. Having this rock out here is pretty important just so that, you know, when you come out here and if there's people out there, you've got something to rush up against and kind of peek out that way as opposed to like this narrow slice that you can shoot out of. So, like in the same thing, I'm going to put a shells crate over here. So there we go. So now you kind of have some spots to take cover from everything out here if you're surrounded. Gotta figure out what to do with this whole spot over here. I've got two paths that kind of go around. Create and balance it that way, move it, push it into there. It's probably a good place for some grass and maybe like a bush or something in the corner. That's right, we got this road over here too. Let's hook all these together. I don't know what this crate is doing. So I'm going to have it, I'm actually going to lift this up a little bit. Take the same rock I put over there, make it look like a different rock by flipping it upside down. Crossroads over here now. It's going to go into this. Let's put another rock over here too. I'm going to use angular large. This is my favorite multi-purpose rock because I can pretty much do whatever the hell I want with it. Now only we'll know that that's the same rock rotated slightly differently. these rocks will have the geo supported as well, so it looks like, so I don't have to put a third rock in there. Make this road go down a little bit. So now we've got kind of an entrance over here that's essentially a choke point if you came up from this mountain thing that we were talking about before. So tamp that down a little bit. This looks kind of natural. Let me paint some rubble under this too. There's no reason rocks can't come from these rocks. There we go. Alright, I'm going to continue painting this over here. Hooks into that, and then this one hooks into that over there, and now we get to paint the grass in between. No, that needs to be rock. There we go. Alright, so it's time to fill this in with grass now. Get some greenery in here. Gonna have to go around over this again with a subtractive brush and pull out some of the grass so the shapes don't look so stupid. Like, what is this? Alright. So I'm taking a subtractive brush now with the same texture and just kind of pulling out. Let me put this thing so it spins randomly. That doesn't look so bad. See, there's a weird bit of vert coloring over here that needs to go. Get rid of this red. Let's go pull some from some established grass over here. No one's touched this in forever. Go pull that. Okay. So now we've got a lot of that paint done. It's kind of boring and empty right now. So let's start putting some shrubs down. Well, I have one shrub. So I like to put these little things because these are kind of good for cloakers, stalker cloakers, and stuff that are hiding around in the area. Just put a couple shrubs out. Put one next to it, spin it, and then make it slightly smaller. That kind of goes, these look good at the bottom of a tree. So I've got all that down. So there's a couple other tricks that we need to do to kind of break up some of these shapes that we're looking. This fence is boring, so we're going to start doing some stuff that'll make it look slightly more interesting. Pretty much in the form of shrubs. Maybe a couple fence posts. This guy over here. And I'm going to take a fence post. Lean it up, interesting side showing out, and it's going to be like, oh, we built this fence, but we bought too many fence posts. Might as well just lean it over here. And take that, move it up against there. So now the shape isn't as repetitive. You've got, you know, a bush and a fence post breaking that up over there. So you should probably put a little bush over here. Around the side, and probably going to put a big rock over here. Maybe a crate and a smaller rock. Let's put one of those cargo containers. Shrink that one a little bit and place it down. Is this too hilly for it? Maybe. I don't think this thing fills the purpose it needs to, because you have this long road looking down it, so you're just going to get shot when you're inside of it. So I'll just put a couple regular crates outside instead. There's a lot of poor spending on our axis, and that includes excessive fence posts. You can see them at a lot of bases, just leaning them up against anywhere, like nobody needed it. So we go. That thing's kind of sideways, but that's okay, because it's got its buddy holding it up. It is why you don't real ease the terrain editor. What are you asking, Psycho Pitcher? So look at this. So I want to call out this entrance as well, as I've called out this entrance over here. So I'm going to put a light tower down. We don't release the map editor because it's probably very easy for you to screw up work in it. You need to be connected to all of our internal stuff. I think the best you could do is create a base on an area where there's no other bases, and then somebody would have to go and do all the data for you. So you do maybe like part of the work, and then somebody else have to pick up the slack. That's probably why we haven't released it. In addition, it needs a bunch of stuff that's hooked into internal things. It's a big pain to get it to work outside. Yeah, I mean, the editor itself is proprietary, so, and it's not like it doesn't function by itself. It needs a bunch of other stuff with it working too. So even if you guys had access to the editor, you couldn't make a level still. Like doing this stuff is easy once you kind of know what you need to do and have like the artist's eye essentially for it, but hooking up data and all the everything else is a whole nother beast. It's kind of like the way like you can create. Oh no, I found a missing place for found a place for that extra fence post, but I'm not gonna not going to use that other one. This is part of why they have such poor inventory control on our axis. It's kind of like how it is with Player Studio stuff, where you can create a helmet in Maya, and then we can import the model into the game, but it still has to have all of our proprietary stuff, like shaders put on it. The item has to be created in the DB. There's a bunch of different work that needs to get done for it, like, you know, even when it comes down to doing the banners that appear. There's a bunch of different work. So here we've got, go get that wedge piece I have over here for the other stuff. Pull it over. I plan to do Northern Indar again, but that's kind of like when I have a bunch of time for it. Currently I'm kind of tasked out, so it's not going to happen anytime soon, unfortunately. As much as I'd love to fix up North Indar. I think it needs the most work. And after Indar, there's a bunch of bases on Esamir that can get tweaked and stuff like that. But none of that is slated or going to definitely happen. What mishap at Aldum? The big ruler thing? So there we go. This is still a long lane, but I don't want to make it totally free of cover. I'm still going to put some soft cover down here. Yeah, so who's asking about the mishap that happened with Aldum being pretty much gone? That's kind of a complex problem. We had the shield revamp done, where we kind of consolidated the shields down to be infinitely more understandable. But what happened with that was I was working on this and had already part of this done, but we had to actually go back in and replace all the old shields. And what happened was that the data, or the merge essentially of those files, wasn't as clean as it could have been, and that's why that ruler appeared. That's essentially it. That's part of the reason why I'm trying to get this done, so that doesn't really happen anymore. I mean, that's kind of the same thing that happened with the econom change that went through. Technically that wasn't supposed to go, but we figured we might as well see how it plays out. So there we go. I'm trying to go over the actual height map for the mesh for the roads here, and just making sure they're kind of beat down on the ground a little bit. Like this edge over here is stupid looking, so I'm going to pull it back a little. No, I don't like that. I think I have rotate. No, I have rotate turned on. Just going to go with the more gradual. The blend mask for this texture is a little rough, so that's why you start seeing like stuff pop in and out like that, but I want it to look a little ragged here. There we go. I'm going to start pushing it out a little bit into the road. But I like to get, like, you can see these little spots where it's like the grass is kind of like worn out, like it's like a golf green that's a little walked on too much. But after that it kind of starts filling out, it doesn't really look as good. So I want to kind of keep that as much as possible. So I'm going to put grass on the other side. This is the one thing with terrain paints is they always go like, all right, I'm done, and then you notice there's like still other spots that are entirely in need of painting. Or I've painted too much, as it is with this road over here. That one doesn't really match up with the road. Is this yellow? What's up with this vert coloring? There. Some leftover right over there. Still got some funky vert coloring over here too. There we go. Alright. Might as well get rid of these rollers. I'm not changing anything that big anytime soon. So that's that. I think we're out of painting to do. Or anything serious, at least. Yeah, it looks good enough. I guess I should do some rubble down here, but then I'm done. This needs some rubble around it. It needs a little bit of rubble. To raise that up a little bit so it looks like that's in there. This definitely needs some rubble under it. This needs to look like it just wasn't thrown there. Alright. So let's take a look at some of this. Let's check out these lines. Putting a rock over here. It's kind of blown out when it looks like that. Let's take this, smush it, rotate it, do that. It's going to take this highland sapling thing and kind of just stick it over here so you're kind of well covered when you're out in this area. Well, Builderman, we have pretty much like the biggest overhanging rock in the game right here. I'm going to put some over here additionally, I think, kind of like a tunnel that goes down into this thing, but I don't really know where else I can stick overhanging rocks. Marlacus asked, why don't I replace that ugly stone column into the big arch with some scaffolding so it looks like they're trying to keep it from falling in this under garage. Well, it is ugly. Let's see if I can do something with that. Let's take this guy and So I can do that. It's as bad as good as I can get you. Well, it's still ugly, but it looks less ugly. Treadstone's asking, did you feel the Comare facility needed reworking, or is still just an elevation adjustment primarily? It's both. I mean, there's a lot of work done over here so far. Like these big rocks over here aren't actually part of the current setup on live. Show of hands, who likes the rock versus the big concrete and steel column? Please add your vote in right now into chat so I can half-heartedly tally them up and let you know what's going on. Manthra, I will be including giant green rulers at every base if possible. Looks like rock is winning. So we got steel column and rock. I don't know, from far away I think the rock looks better. Well, the only scaffold pieces I have are definitely squares, so the rock is not square, so I can't put scaffolding around the rock. Unless I fill it up with a ton of rocks, and at that point you've used probably about like 20,000 polys for nothing. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with the rock. Although I'll try to add some detail rocks in there to make it look better. So this will hopefully give it a different shape that doesn't look so stupid. There, that looks a little bit more solid. That's teamwork, fellas. We tried an idea and it failed miserably. Welcome to game design. This is yeah, Sir Kane, this is out on Broadcast Hub. So let's see what else we can do here. We were talking about this pathway over here, but I can leave that towards later. I've got like 45 minutes left on this. There's always going to be a Whiskey Echo is as saying there's our biggest problem right now is the contrast between the rock and the garage. Our stuff is almost always mixed man-made stuff with natural objects, so I mean the contrast is there. You could say they're complementary if you want to put a positive spin on it. It's the duality of man and nature. I only have one color garage and it's black. There was no wood garage, it would catch fire immediately. Alright, so let's start putting some highland shrubs. little fellow there. we have we have rock garages. They're used on Haas a bit. You can tell they're kind of in front of bases, and we wanted them to be, kind of incognito. What do you call it? Kind of incognito. This looks like a shadow. I need to fix this for coloring. So yeah, we've got kind of those rock garages on Haas, and they're a little bit incognito, but this is the extent of cover that I want to put out here. So I'm going to have these two rocks, and they kind of snap together pretty nicely, assuming I can get the right axis. There we go. Trying to doll these up so they don't just have big cement blocks sticking out of them. This pipe will make it look a little bit more interesting. The sideway light bridges haven't been just used a lot because they're kind of, you have to design the base around them initially. Some of the stuff that I was going to use it on, I remember we were going to use it on Gorney Dam, but I just kind of opted not to. There's certain bases that are used on, like the chemical, Heoka Chemical is a good example of them, but I don't think we have a bunch of them used elsewhere. On any new bases where I can actually like put a bridge in that'll make sense, I'll see if I can swing it, but you kind of have to design the base with it at the start because you have to take into account for stuff like the death plane and stuff that you fall into and all that sort of thing. There's a lot of little moving parts when you start adding like generators and stuff like that into it. Basic levels are the easiest when it comes to planning ahead for them because you just kind of put them there and make them pretty, but you start putting generators in there, you kind of have to look at all the other things that it affects, and if you're not designing the base from the start, you might as well not put it in. And in some of these bases where it's just all flat terrain, it means like manually digging out a pit and putting it there, and does the pit look like it's natural? And you kind of ask a bunch of questions like that. Tenkata asking about the test CS. It's not too different. I haven't used it since a couple games ago for it, but yeah, it's not too much different. There's different functionality between them, and some of it's similar, some of it's not. But when it comes to level editing software, a lot of them are pretty similar to each other. So some of the stuff that we have over here that we haven't touched yet for this base, we've got this whole area over here that's got the jump pads that lead up to the other wing. I've got these roads going down here. So we can put another road down here that leads into West Highlands checkpoint, or we can continue to prop up the base. So if you guys want to vote, do we want the road that's going to go down here, or should we continue placing crates in the actual base itself? Let me know what your thoughts on that are, and I'll start working. Otherwise, I'm going to place some bushes. Looks like crates are winning. And we've got a bunch of roads now. Looks like it's about 50-50, so I'm going to continue with the original plan and just put crates in the base and continue doing the cover pass on it. They're both going to get done, it's just which one's going to get done on stream. There will be no crates on the roof. That's not where crates go. It's not an attic. This is kind of a safe spot here now that I've put these here. So you've got a lot of protection from most sides, but stuff can still jump from under you. Somebody could still be over there. So there's all sorts of places that get attacked still, but this is kind of a good spot to take a breather now. This base is out on Broadcast Hub. There we go. So we got some cover for that. I'm going to put another sapling there. So we have some cover from some stuff now. I think I want to put another crate over here or something like that, though. Maybe flip one of these on its side. There we go. So you kind of got this bubble that, you know, when you push out, it does broadcast I Love Lucy episodes. I don't know how you knew, weirdo, but so let's put some not really all that cover over here. Medium. Create the illusion that this is a little bit higher. Well, it is, but it's not really the high ground though. Subdivide this space a little bit so it looks more interesting. Okay, so I'm just going to bump it up there a little bit. Yeah, Netrack. That's kind of towards the end. That's all aesthetic stuff. But I plan on theming it up a little bit better than it currently is because it definitely doesn't look like it broadcasts anything. So there, we look kind of got this idea that this is the high road now, even though it really doesn't make much of a difference. But yeah, the idea is to put a few more antennas around so it's a pain to fly over and it makes it look like it broadcasts something. There is one floating antenna here. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Over here's a good place for a hollow crate. Towards the bottom of the hill. Over there. I just rotated that crate off in the distance. So that looks alright. Pull the dirt out of this and then paint some road under it. So there we go, we painted the road under it, so now it shouldn't have grass sticking through. Or it totally does. You know, what do I know? Good enough. So we've got this to break up some of that. You can kind of duck in here. You're pretty safe. There's nothing really going to hit you unless you're maybe an attacker. So we've got this lane kind of set up now. We've got our little bits of cover. And put a crate over into the side here for someone to hide against. Shells. And whatever, I'm just going to put a spare parts container. Now it's a good hiding spot. Ugh, what's going on over there? Alright, this is probably where I should put a tree. This looks kind of obscene looking. It's pretty big. And push some of the dirt up. Goes around the tree. Kind of pull some of the grass out of that. So there's that. So I think this little lane over here is done now. Pretty happy with it. It's supposed to be a little sparse. It's not sturdy. So we're going over here. It'd be cool if this little turnout, kind of. Alright. This is kind of low here. Pull that up a little. So it makes the road stand out a little bit. Trying to get some. There we go. This thing will not take focus off of the type window. So I'll take that, put that. I'm going to take this, stick it down, pull up a little bit, and I'm going to take a shell crate and put it over here. So you can fire over this without getting shot in the groin. And over here I'm going to just create the sandbag thing that I did on the other side. So that fence is broken up by that rock. The cap point's in the square building over here. That is where it will reside. We might as well. I'm going to take a equipment terminal and throw it in this corner here. Over here. See if we can stick these holes. Put that in there. Alright, I think we're good on these little sapling trees. Yeah, I can make a antenna fall over, but I don't know really what to do with it. Like if I wanted that to be a major way to get into the facility, I could do that. Yeah, it would be something like I selected the tree. So I take this guy, move that. It's like the sort of thing I would do with it, but the problem is that there's no way I could prevent this from being used as like a harasser ramp or something like that. So I would take it and do something like that and have it go over the fence with it, but there's no way I could really do that without it. I can't even think you can't even walk up this thing with that particular angle. I can pull this and then put an antenna over there. Maybe that'll work. Alright, so let's reset the angles on that and put it to 0. I guess putting this particular stick on this side is probably going to make it so that you can't really do that with it. So maybe I'll just pull these over here, these stairs that go over here, and lean it up against this. So let's see if this works. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, I think this is the direction I want it to go, and lay it down that way. So what's the angle on this? 37 degrees. You can walk up that. There. Okay, that looks alright. Yeah, I'm gonna put a. What am I gonna put under this? It's a column. That's what I'm gonna put under it. Alright, so where's this rotation at? 51 degrees. Really? I'm just checking the angles on this to make sure you're actually able to go up it. I definitely don't. Okay, so the more it goes down, the harder it gets to go up. Yep. Move this solar panel over. Move this other solar panel over. Can the sunder even fit here anymore? No. That solar panel is going. I'm going to put another tree over there. This little guy. Which is now blocking the solar panel, making it useless. Alright, I'm going to take this and copy it, and I'm going to make this one stand up. So I got this thing over here now. We're going to keep that. Let's move it up. Squish this way. There we go. Pull that over. Just got the problem with this antenna and this tree over here. So I think this tree's going to have to shrink. Move over. So now it's not even that shrunken down. It's 80% of its normal size. Alright, so I think this works. I'm going to pull all this out. This doesn't need to be here anymore. You've got a fall antenna tower to walk up now. I'm going to sink that down so it doesn't look like one was way higher than the other. There. Alright, so I'm happy with that. But I gotta pull this path out now. So I'm gonna hide objects. And paint some grass on there. There we go. I'm also going to tamp this down because it doesn't need to be that high anymore. And I'm going to put delete those. Copy this guy. Oh, snaps was off. There we go. Alright. So now we've got our fall antenna that you guys wanted. And a not fallen antenna, and we pulled that path out. So now there's still 3 entrances on this particular Sunder garage. And one of them is pretty powerful. But it's also powerful to sit up here and just shoot people in the face when they're trying to jump up this thing. So, but this building has definitely gotten a lot more interesting now that it's in this shape. I think that's cool. Thanks for the idea. I think that was Sir Kane that gave me that. And everyone else cheered him on. I'm happy with it. Alright, so back to the cover pass. Let's see what we got here. This is always a little empty. Let's take these pipes over here. He's making alright. Take these, let's smush them so that they kind of fit this band coming out. And push it a little bit. There we go. So you kind of got some cover against that stuff coming down there. The paint fields are usually squares. So this pink square around the spawn room right here is the paint field. And you can stretch that out or keep it I mean, you can definitely make it a circle if you want, but typically the spawn rooms are squares, so that's why we use squares for the paint field shapes. Roots, I'm glad you asked. PlanetSide 2 is a massively multiplayer online first-person shooter. You can have hundreds and hundreds of people at the same fight at any given time. It's pretty cool. You should check it out. So this spot over here too is one of those things where I'd like to, rather than just having this be this stupid slopey hill over here, I can just bring it up and kind of do what I did over here, which is give the idea that it's kind of a little terrace. And let's take large angular sky and put it that way. Put it over, stick it in the ground. So now I can tamp this down over here, as well as copy this rock and spin it. Kind of completes this illusion of this terrace over here. This is the only studio I've ever used, man. pull this grass out because it kind of looks silly when it's in the rocks. Dry enough as it is. This one over there. Put some grass over here. Feels weird to have like an empty area without the grass when everything else does. There should not be road over here. Narak, I play NC primarily. Here's another thing I didn't notice that I needed to paint. That does not look good. None of this looks good. What am I even doing with myself? Alright, I think I need to paint some rock and then rubble under it. This rock looks kind of goofy. It's like this like balloons out after it comes out of the ground. That weird terrain paint's over here. Look at that red. Alright. So that's looking good. Let's continue with like bushes and crates. We've only got about 10 minutes left. I don't even need this thing anymore. Do I? No, I do. Teleporter, I think, is still going in there. Okay, that's right. That's where I was going to go. Excuse me. And take our these antennas and put a couple of them up here just to kind of really sell that the what do you call it, communications vibe that this thing is supposed to be giving out. I don't want them to both look the same, so nope. I'm going to take this one and pull it over, and then I'm going to shrink it down and rotate it. So they look a little bit staggered. Unfortunately, I don't have any really thing to put under them. Circane, all the solar panels on Indar do not face the same direction. So I think we've got enough antennas now that we can see that something's being broadcast out of here at least. So what else do we have to do here? So it's a pretty wild lane that I don't need necessarily all the time. And I don't know if maybe we should cram another tree in this area over here. There's no antennas around. Let's take the small tree. This will be a good size for on top of this part of the hill. Stuff starts looking like garbage when you scale it up too much. Yeah, I can show you what it looks like at night. So this is kind of our nighttime lighting for this area. I need to get rid of this antenna. It looks silly there. So there's not a whole lot of lights just yet. Part of the reason of not making a big antenna too is I don't have anything to support it. These things look flimsy enough, kind of just bolted in the ground like that. But once I took another concrete block and put it up there, but I'm starting to start getting a lot of props. Because I could do this. So much slack do I have before it cuts in there? Oh, pretty much just it. So take that down, do that, and then move this one over here. Leave it there. So now you can actually use them as cover on the ground level here and not take damage from somebody shooting them. So these are now cover props. Because if that's not there, you can get shot through there. People can see at least. So yeah, that's so we're about time out of here for today, so I might as well wrap this up. So thank you for coming by today for work in progress with PlanetSide 2. This base on Indar is probably going to take a bit more work for me, like maybe to the tune of, some of my own time, because I'm currently not scheduled to work on Indar, but I wanted to show you guys at least that, this stuff is still in consideration. We're still working on it. But I don't have an actual date when this is going to be going live. Hopefully it'll be going out this year, but no promises. So anyway, thank you for coming by. I will be broadcasting again in 2 weeks on, don't know exactly when that is, I believe December 2nd. We'll probably be looking at the same thing again unless I have something more interesting to show you guys. But yeah, December 2nd, 3 o'clock Pacific. We'll be broadcasting again. Thank you for coming by, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.